All right, it is crime time where we bring in our law enforcement professionals and take a look at the big stories of the day from around the nation. Let's introduce tonight's special guests. With us, retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. Bobby served as an FBI Special Agent for 27 years. He's an expert in criminal and counterterrorism investigations. He's worked with the NYPD to combat organized crime in New York with the FBI's Organized Crime Task Force. Also with us, former police officer and sheriff's deputy Joe Ested. Joe has been a corrections officer, police officer, investigator, and sheriff's deputy. He was elected vice president of the police union and served in Afghanistan as a police advisor and instructor. He's also the author of the book, Police Brutality Matters. Bobby and Joe, great to have you back on the program. And our first story, I want to show you a tweet that we received from the IMPD, the Indianapolis Metro Police Department, regarding a big story today. It said this morning, IMPD homicide detectives arrested the individual believed to be responsible for the murder of 6 people and the non-fatal shooting of 1 juvenile on Adams Street. And of course, what we're talking about was this mass shooting in Indianapolis, a horrific scene. Let's take a listen to the 911 call and investigators talking about what happened.
We've got an open door over here. Can you start 2 more cars fast, please?
We need EMS at this location. We have 3 shots. All 3 clear 10-0. We need them here to confirm, and I need more cars here at the scene. Next car is arriving. Start putting tape up around this house, please. I want the perimeter big. Start as animal control, please. We'll just need them to stage. We have a couple areas the residents were unable to check due to a dog. Control out of 9. Update the cab. We have 5 victims.
Can we confirm that 410-0, or can you advise for the staff pages and for PIO?
I can't confirm yet.
Control corner 14, did they give a condition on that won't being transported?
Extremely critical.
I'm going to provide a brief statement of what we know and can release at this time. Then the mayor and chief will make statements. There'll be a number of questions you have that we will not be able to answer at this time. We understand this is of particular interest to the community, and we'll provide as much information as we can, and we'll release additional information as it becomes available. Just before 4 a.m., IMPD North District officers responded to the 3300 block of East 36th Street on a report of a person shot. Upon arrival, officers located a juvenile male with apparent gunshot wounds. He was transported to an area hospital. Officers later received information that led them to a residence in the 3500 block of Adams Street. Officers entered the residence and located 5 individuals with apparent gunshot wounds who were all deceased. Of the individuals, one of the individuals was pregnant and transported to an area hospital. Despite the best life-saving efforts provided by medical staff, both the female and the unborn child did not survive. The juvenile male who was shot is expected to survive his injuries. From what we know at the very early stages of this investigation, this does not appear to be a random act.
All right, as we said, a juvenile is in custody, but you've got to put together the evidence. You've got to build the case. You've got to figure out what happened. So how do you investigate this real gruesome, tragic crime scene where 6 lives are lost? Bobby Chacon.
Yeah, you have to approach it very carefully. You have to divorce yourself of that emotion that's going to be there, particularly when children are involved and innocent people are involved and they've been the victim of violent crime. I was a forensic investigator for the FBI for 19 of my 27 years. My first scene, when I was a new forensic investigator, had 230 bodies. It was a plane crash in the ocean off of Long Island. You have to just be able to objectively go in. We have a 12-step process in the FBI of approaching a scene, securing the scene. Everything gets videotaped and photographed. Nothing gets touched. You really have to control who comes and goes in that scene. There's a definite process to it. There are steps to follow, and it has to be done very objectively. You have to kind of take yourself out of the emotion of the moment, and you have to do your job, because those investigators that are going to use the results of your forensic exam really need you to be, accurate and on point, because they're going to use that information to build a case against the suspect.
Joe Ested, 5 bodies, and one of those bodies was carrying a child inside that home. I mean, it's absolutely horrific. What's your approach to that crime scene?
Yeah, you're exactly right, Vinny. When you said the opening, it was horrific. Anytime you're dealing with children, like Bobby said, it's hard to do, but when you do the job long enough, you kind of build tolerances on how to get through these type of moments. Because anytime you've seen a child die, it's just a sad thing. So what you try to do is start investigation, a homicide investigation. You secure that scene. You call in forensics. You work your informants. You try to see. You had 6 victims. 5 was at one area. The other one was at the hospital. It's key to interview that actual second victim. If he's talking, then you can get a lot of information to see if those shootings were related. So, like Bobby said, it's pretty much just good old-fashioned police work. Because of the magnitude of this, instead of having 1 or 2, you would probably have a lot more resources when you're dealing with an incident of this magnitude.
Our next story comes to us from the Bakersfield, California Police Department. A suspected thief points a gun-like object at police.
Let's see hands! 350, 998, shots fired. Get your hand in the air! 350, D&E. Stop your vehicle! Stop! Show me your hands! Show me your hands! Get your hands up now! Get your hands up! Show me your right hand now! Get your hand in the air! We're between D and E. Confirm negative on shot fired.
350 shots fired. Expediting medical.
Copy, affirmative on shots fired, medically expediting.
Quit moving your hands! Stop moving your hands!
20 again. East 51, 2000 block of Trusted Avenue, eastbound lane.
Block that traffic down there. What do you guys got?
Right here, so as he was coming out, we rolled up, he was opening the door. He had a black gun in his right hand.
He's hit?
He's hit.
Okay.
All right, that suspect did survive, but in the moment, how do you make the determination of when to fire? Joe Ested.
Yes, Vinny. Like we said time and time again, we start talking about deadly force. It's exactly when the officer has perceived that his life or the life of someone else is at risk. And the officers received the radio call. They confirmed that the vehicle was stolen, so this what makes it a felony approach. The individual pointed what appeared to be a firearm at the officer, and the officer returned fire, believing that his life and his partner's life was at risk of being lost. So this would definitely be a justified shooting.
Bobby Chacon, this has to be the toughest decision for any law enforcement officer, when to fire the weapon.
It really is, and Joe hit it right on the head. I mean, that's the standard that we have to use, is that when you think your own life or the life of somebody else is in imminent danger from that person, you're able to use deadly force against them. And so, whatever they have in their hand, you have to make that split-second determination. Is it a weapon? Are they going to use it? Do they have the ability to use it? All of those things. Really, it's a matter of training, because you couldn't possibly think about all those things in the split second. So it comes down to your training. And if you train to approach the situation over and over again, and then so your training kicks in, you see what looks like a weapon in his hand. We are not required to have the bad guys shoot at us first before we return fire. We have to protect our own lives and those of the citizens. So, in this case, the gentleman got out of the vehicle, or started to get out of the vehicle, pointed what looked like a weapon at the officer. The officer thought his life was in danger, and he used deadly force against him. This gentleman did survive, but he was perfectly within policy, in my opinion, from what I see on this video. He was perfectly within the use of deadly force policy.
All right, more crime time straight ahead, plus this. It's the worst mass shooting in a decade in Indianapolis, and now a juvenile suspect is under arrest. How should our system of justice handle this case? Our think tank takes a closer look. And newly released body cam footage of the man who shot and killed Ahmaud Arbery, talking to police just after the shooting. Does his story make sense, and does it prove self-defense? We'll break it down. Welcome back to our Crime Time segment. Still with us, retired FBI agent Bobby Chacon and former police officer, Sheriff's Deputy Joe Ested. He has a lot of other information. Just not enough time to get into all of it, Joe, every time. All right. Our next story comes from Tacoma, Washington. At least 2 people were injured after a police car plowed through a group of pedestrians over the weekend. The officer responding to a street race report on Saturday night when a group of people blocked the intersection and then surrounded the police car, pounding on the windows before that police vehicle then drove through the crowd. The incident was caught on camera and posted online by Jason Gauthier. All right. My question is, was this justified? Now, the Pierce County Force Investigation Team is currently looking into this, and tonight we're asking our experts whether or not this was justified force in all this. Bobby Chacon, it was a bizarre situation, responding to that street race, and then you get surrounded. What do you think?
Yeah, I can understand the anxiety level of the officer going up fairly quickly in a situation like this. However, at this point, that vehicle is a deadly weapon, and him plowing through a crowd like that is akin to using deadly force, using a weapon for deadly force. So I don't know that I'd have to see much more, and I'd have to hear the justification. But on the surface, just on the viewing of this particular video, I don't think it's justified. You can see him literally run over a few people. He could have easily killed them with that vehicle. And so, I get it that when you're trapped in a vehicle, but if you're armed in there and you've got backup on the way, it seems like you can wait out that crowd. They didn't smash in his windows. We have had officers in some of the riots last summer, get into a situation where they are surrounded. They were attempted to be dragged out of their car. I'm not sure that's what you had here. These were street racers, illegal street racing. And so, yes, they surrounded him. And yes, it would have been a very anxiety-provoking event. But I'm not sure it justified him plowing through the crowd like that.
Joe Ested?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with Bobby. He did a good assessment there because, as we know, when we start talking about deadly force, your life has to be in imminent danger at the time. Just the mere fact that you have people surrounding your car does not raise to the level of deadly force. Now, once again, if there's information that someone in that crowd had a gun and he was about to pull out and the officer identified it, then we'll be having another conversation. But just the mere fact that you had a crowd surrounding your car, you buckle in, you call for units. When they get there, then you move the crowd. That's not a justifiable. You just bowl through because people are surrounding your vehicle. So, no, that's not justifiable.
All right. Bobby Chacon, Joe Ested, always great to have both of you on the program. Appreciate your honesty and your assessment of what's happening day in and day out on the streets of America. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you again.
Thanks, Vinny.
Thanks.